Title: My sister and I finished medical school together, but our parents paid off her student loans while ignoring mine. She deserves it more, honey. When they attended her debt-free celebration, they had a little surprise waiting. The chosen one. We stood side by side, wearing identical caps and gowns. Our diplomas were sealed. Our names had been called. We were both Dr. Sanders now. You'd think that would be the moment we became equals, but it wasn't. The night after graduation, my parents took my sister, Alina, out to dinner at a swanky waterfront restaurant. I was invited, technically, but there was no seat saved for me. Just a chair added at the end. They toasted her. To our brilliant, unstoppable Alina. I clinked my glass quietly. She smiled at me, not out of malice, just certainty. She'd always been the chosen one. A week later, the surprise came. We've decided to pay off Alina's loans, my mom said breezily over brunch. I blinked. Wait, what? Well, Dad jumped in. You've always been so independent. You didn't ask for help, and you're doing fine. And let's be honest, Mom added, Alina's path is just a bit more demanding. Cardiology's no joke. I stared at them. Same school, same diploma, same 6 figures in debt. But somehow, I'd become the self-sufficient one, and she was the investment. So you're paying off hers, and not mine. It's not about picking favorites, Mom said, but it was. It always had been. I went home that night and opened my student loan portal. $211,340.89 remaining. I stared at the number for a long time. Then I opened a new document on my laptop and titled it Plans for the Celebration. Because if my parents were going to throw a party for her being debt-free, I was going to give them something unforgettable to remember it by. The celebration set up. The EVEAT came on a Thursday. Subject line: Debt-free and destined. A celebration for Dr. Alina Sanders. The invitation was tasteful. Gold and cream with a blush accent. A catered rooftop party overlooking the bay. Hosted by my parents, of course. RSVP required. I stared at the invite for a few seconds, then clicked attending. 2 days later, my sister texted, "You're coming, right? It would mean a lot." She added a heart emoji, like the years of imbalance between us could be wrapped in pink and forgotten. I didn't blame her. Not really. Alina had always been the favorite, but she'd also always been clueless. She didn't know that while she got summer programs, I got secondhand textbooks. She didn't know Mom edited my college essay, but wrote hers. She didn't know Dad secretly co-signed her first apartment lease, while telling me, "You need to learn responsibility." I wasn't coming to her party for revenge. Not exactly. I just wanted everyone in that room, especially my parents, to finally see me. But not through anger, not through a tantrum, through the truth. So I went to work. In the days leading up to the party, I quietly pulled every receipt. All my medical school loan statements, every payment made on time, interest totals, copies of emails where I asked for help and was ignored, screenshots of their celebratory messages to Alina about her hard work finally paying off. I compiled it all into a single presentation. Sleek, professional, no names shamed, no voices raised, just facts. Then I called an old friend from residency, Josh, who now worked in media tech. "Think you can help me get something on the projector at an event?" "Anything illegal. Only emotionally," he laughed. "Send me the files. I'll handle the rest." I bought a new dress. Simple, elegant. The kind you wear when you're about to change how people remember a night. And then I waited for the party. Not with dread, but with clarity. They thought they were celebrating Alina's freedom. They didn't realize they were about to see exactly what mine cost me. When the screen lit up the rooftop was picture perfect. String lights draped between pillars. Waiters in black carrying rosé and tiny appetizers. A table of macarons sat next to a gold glitter sign that read, "Debt-free, doctor, and destined for greatness." Alina looked radiant in a white silk dress. Our parents stood beside her, beaming like she'd cured cancer instead of just making her last loan payment with someone else's checkbook. I smiled politely, nodded, took a glass of champagne and waited near the back while the slideshow played on mute. Baby photos, awkward teen years, white coat ceremony pics. They were building a story, one where she'd worked harder, earned more, deserved everything. And I let them, until dessert was served. That's when I signaled Josh. He stood near the tech booth and gave me a subtle thumbs up. The projector blinked. The room dimmed. A new slideshow began. Not of Alina, of me. It started with a black screen and a line of text. 2 daughters. 2 doctors. 1 truth. The first slide showed a split screen. Alina and me at our medical school graduation. Same year, same ceremony, same degree. The next, a screenshot of my student loan portal. $211,340.89. Status, active, interest compounding. Then, Alina's, $0, 0 cents. Next slide, emails from me to our parents. "Hey, I'm struggling to cover books this semester. Any chance for help? Mom, I had to push my rent payment again. Can we talk?" Then a text from Dad. "Alina's internship eats up so much time. We're trying to support her where we can. You're tough. You'll make it work." People turned. Glasses lowered. Conversations stopped. Alina stepped toward the screen, her voice cracking. "What is this?" I walked up slowly, calmly, my heels quiet on the stone. "This is the part of the story you all left out." I turned to the room. "You celebrated her freedom, but ignored what mine cost." I motioned to the screen again as it shifted to my payment history. Every check, every interest spike, every lonely call for help. I didn't do this to shame anyone. I just wanted you to see the full picture. I smiled gently at Alina. "Congratulations, sister. You earned your degree. I earned mine while carrying the weight you never had to touch." And then I stepped away. The slideshow ended. No applause, just silence. A kind that meant they couldn't pretend anymore. The room without applause. No one moved at first. The music hadn't resumed. Dessert remained untouched. And the only sound was the distant buzz of the city below. Alina stood frozen near the screen, cheeks flushed, not with embarrassment, but with confusion. Maybe for the first time in her life, she wasn't sure what to say. My parents? Mom's hands were clenched tightly in front of her, as if she were bracing for impact. Dad looked toward the exit like he wanted to disappear into the concrete. I didn't stay to watch it unfold. I turned and walked toward the elevator. Outside, Josh was waiting. "You okay?" "Better than I've been in years." "You sure you don't want to stay and watch the fallout?" "No," I said. "Let them talk about it. Let them finally talk about me." The next morning, I woke to 5 missed calls. 2 from Mom, 1 from Dad, 2 from my aunt. Voicemails all dancing around the same theme. That wasn't fair. "We didn't know you felt that way. You should have just talked to us." But I had, for years, through every ignored email, every silent favor, every proud smile I faked at Alina's accomplishments while shouldering my own bills alone. Alina texted once, "You humiliated me." I stared at the screen. No apology, no reflection, just ego bruised. I replied, "Now you know how it feels." Blocked. Later that week, my mom showed up outside my clinic. She didn't come inside, just waited in her car and watched me walk out after my shift. When I saw her, I didn't stop, didn't wave, didn't even flinch. I just got in my car and drove away, because some people only come to find you after they've been exposed. But by then, it's too late. Not owed, not earned. 2 weeks passed. Silence tried to settle back in. But it was different now. Before, my quiet was survival. Now, it was choice. Mom texted again. "We want to talk. Please." Face-to-face Dad followed. "Maybe we didn't do things perfectly, but we love you." That one stung. Not because I believed it, but because I used to. I left them on red. Instead, I redirected the energy. I set up a new payment plan to consolidate my loans under my own name, finally cutting out the co-signed agreements they'd never helped with. I hired a financial advisor, and for the first time since residency, I booked a solo trip. No guilt. No worry someone would need something while I was away. No drama. Just peace. Then, the invitation came. A handwritten note from Alina. "I'm hosting a private dinner. No parents. Just us. I owe you a conversation." I stared at it. Was it an olive branch? A trap? A last-ditch PR stunt? I didn't know. But I went. The restaurant was small, intimate. Alina stood when I walked in, her hair perfectly done, makeup light, eyes tired. "You look good," she said quietly. "I am good." We sat. She fidgeted. "I didn't know, Claire, I swear. About the loans, the emails, any of it. You never asked." "I know." She looked down. "You made your point at the party." I didn't respond. She took a breath. "Do you hate me?" I shook my head slowly. "Number. But I finally stopped needing you to understand me. That's what changed." She nodded, and we ate in silence. No apology, no breakthrough. But for once, she saw me, and that was enough. Everything they overlooked. The day my final loan was paid off, I sat on my balcony with a cup of tea. No party, no photos, no gold-lettered invites. Just me, the sunrise, and the soft ding of an email that read, "Payment confirmed. Balance, $0.00." I exhaled for what felt like the first time in years. They never celebrated this. But I didn't need them to, because I'd built something stronger than a debt-free moment. I'd built self-worth that didn't require witnesses. A week later, a package arrived at my office. No return address. Inside, a framed photo from the graduation dinner party. Alina in the center, my parents beside her, and me barely in the corner, face half cut off. On the back, a sticky note. "We didn't see you." That was our failure. "Mom." I placed it in the shredder. Not out of spite, but because I didn't need reminders of being invisible. I had already replaced that memory with one of standing in front of a crowd, showing them exactly what I carried while they clapped for someone else. Years from now, when they tell our story, they'll say we both became doctors, but only one of us paid for it, and only one of us stood on her own. Not because she was the favorite, not because she was rescued, but because she refused to be forgotten. And in the end, that silence they gave me, it became the space I used to finally speak for myself. You are not alone, and you are so much stronger than you think. Tap that subscribe button to join Twisted Justice, where we share tales that heal, inspire, and remind you that even the deepest heartbreak can lead to the most beautiful new beginning. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that revenge isn't always about getting even. Sometimes, it's just about getting better.